Hey there, and welcome to Creative You Art Lesson Crates. My name is Karen, and I'm your instructor for today. We are working with the artist Wassily Kandinsky. Poor guy, terrible name, fabulous artist. He loved to work with shapes and color. He was a Russian-born French expressionist painter. Basically, if you think about that, an expressionist painter means he painted with emotion. So if you think about emotion in art, things that you can adjust according to your emotions would be the color. If I were to paint something red, you might feel angry, or the opposite, you could feel in love. If I did green, maybe jealousy. Yellow has energy. Orange is even more energy, excitement, enthusiasm. Blue is soothing and calm. And purple is a rich sensitivity. So, I mean, lots of different colors evoke different emotions. So what Wassily Kandinsky did was he did these pieces that were not only concentric in that it was lots of different shapes that were reoccurring. So he did a lot of circles, but they're also in squares, but they're gridded off in a very appealing way to the eye. But it also is just infused with color that really, as the paper says, it really touches the soul itself. So there's a couple of different lessons that you can do, and there is one that is listed here, which is not the one that we're going to do. That one is a little bit more simple. It's something you can try on your own, and it is basically find lots of round objects, such as the top of a cup, lids to sodas, anything round. Dip them in your paint and just dab at the paper or canvas, and do lots and lots and lots of circles, and not pay attention too much about overlapping. Go ahead and let them overlap. Another really cool way of adding circles is with your fingertips and also the backs of paintbrushes. Okay, now for today's lesson, we are going to actually create something a little more like our sample. We're doing a mixed media. What a mixed media means is it is multiple art supplies in one piece of art. So we're going to combine pencil with oil pastel with acrylic paint. So let's go ahead and get to a nice flat surface. You will need an additional art supply. Well, it's not really art supply, but a help item, which would be napkins, and you're going to need a container for some water. I use a wine glass. It's actually plastic. It's not real. Basically because, first of all, it's really easy to carry. It's easy to hold. But also, it's raised just enough that I don't find that it gets in the way. Now, when you use containers of water, you want to make sure that you don't have any electrical supplies, laptops, iPads, phones, anything like that around, because you can actually spill, and since we are using acrylic paint, it will stain. So put on some comfy clothes, get to a nice surface that you can create on. I'm going to go ahead and pause right here and check back with you in just a second. All right, so we're back. I've kind of changed the setting real quick. I want to go over a couple very basic things with you. I went ahead and put my paint on a palette. I don't expect you to do it, but I do need to be able to access it for this part of the lesson. So that way you can see the colors. Don't feel like you have to do this. Like I said, keeping them in the containers that they came in is perfectly fine. These are great containers, and they keep it nice and fresh. Now, in order to open them, there are two little tabs. One goes up, one goes down. So if you put your fingers on it like this and kick it, it'll open. You can open one at a time. Remember to close them, close them tightly, or you can have spills, all right? So they're perfectly fine keeping them in that container. Now I have a sheet of paper here, and I'm only doing this to show you a couple of very basics about color. It's important to know this for this project, especially because Wassily Kandinsky loved color so much. You really need to have an understanding of where he was going with his color. So we have 6 basic colors to what's called a color wheel. And if we drew a wheel, all right, there's our wheel. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So there's our wheel. And if we wrote the 6 different colors, red, orange, yellow, green, blue. Now some people do violet, I do purple. I'm old-fashioned. So you have your 6 colors. This color here, this one, and this one, which are red, yellow, and blue, are called primary colors. No matter what you do, you cannot make those colors. They are simply the color of the pigment. Now, I have the colors on my fingers, right? If I took red and yellow and put them in the same spot, what do you think I would get? Well, look at our grid here. If we took red and we put it with yellow, what do you think they might make? Let's find out. Looks pretty orange there to me. It's kind of a reddish orange, but still an orange. I'll show you. Add some more yellow. Orange. All right, so let's take it to the next one. If we did blue and yellow. Well, let's see. Make sure I have the yellow. Blue and yellow. Blue and yellow. What do you think we'll get? Let's see. Looks pretty green to me. And then the last one, I think you're probably getting the hang of it, is red and blue. So take a look. What's it going to make? Purple. So there you go. The 3 primary colors will make all the other colors. And yes, that includes brown and black. Now black is a combination of lots of different colors together, but in actuality, black is very, very deep brown. Now, what do I mean by I can make brown? All right, take a look. Anything across from itself on the color wheel will make brown. So if we do purple and yellow, so let's take some purple or some yellow and add some purple. Pretty colors side by side. But let me zoom in so you can really see this magic happen. Watch this. It's getting kind of gross, looking a little like something that a baby has in its diaper. Pretty nasty. Brown. Okay, the same thing happens with blue and orange. So here's orange, and here's blue. Mix them together. Oh, I didn't put enough blue in it. And once again, pretty ugly brown. And the same thing happens with red and green. So what I usually think of is Christmas, LSU, and Auburn. I don't know if you're football fans, but that's the best way for me to think of it. Green and red. I find that green and red is the best brown. If you're trying to get brown, if you have to make your own, green and red makes the richest, deepest, because brown has a lot of yellow or red in it. So I find that works the best. But it depends on what kind of a brown you're going for. So When looking at our color wheel, we know a couple of things. These are primaries, red, yellow, blue. You cannot make them, but they can make other things. If you mix two primary colors together, you're going to make a secondary color, which is orange, green, and purple. If you mix a secondary color, which is orange, green, or purple, with a primary, which is red, yellow, blue, you're going to get brown. Basically, because red, yellow, and blue added together equals brown. So why does that make, why I don't get it. Well, think about it. Red is the primary, and across from it is green. What makes green? Blue and yellow. So you have mixed red, blue, and yellow together. All right, let's go with yellow. Yellow is a primary. Well, if we mix it with purple, it's actually red and blue. Therefore, you're mixing all three colors. And if we do blue and orange, the same basic thing. Blue, red, and yellow. So the reason I'm going over this with you is because when we're working on filling in our circles, I want you to be very conscious about where you place the ones that are across from each other, because that blue may pick up some of that orange, and then you're going to have brown circles. And that may be good for you, but it may not be. And I want you to just understand that if you don't want it, don't do it. All right? So let's go ahead and get started. We have a canvas here. A canvas is just basically wood wrapped in fabric. It's a little bouncy. If you touch it, it feels like it's a trampoline almost. And also you're going to notice my fingers. I'm a very messy artist. So I really get into my art. If you're anything like me, you'll probably walk away with a few paint splotches on you. But that's okay. It's fun. Okay, so canvas is the wood wrapped in fabric. It's not stapled on the sides, which means I want you to paint your sides. You can wrap it with color. And that means you do not have to frame it. Very cool. All right, so we need a pencil. We're going to start off by drawing a line down the middle of your paper. Now, if you're worried about perfect lines, straight lines, and all that good stuff, you can just simply take your fingers, figure out where approximately the middle is. You see that? I just kind of stretch my fingers to about the same size, bring them in at the same time, and I'm thinking my center's about there, and probably about right there. Okay, so what I can do is I can take a piece of paper, I can connect those two, and I can draw a line. Cool. All right, so now we're going to do two more lines, sorry, but we need to figure out how big can they be and still be about the same size. Now, since it's pencil, you can erase. So I drew a line here, and I'm going to measure it with my fingers. I'm going to lift, but I'm not going to adjust my fingers. I'm going to lift, bring it here. That's pretty close. Pretty close. All right, so I think I got that one okay. So now I'm going to turn my canvas over, and I'm going to measure this one as well. Go back to the original one. We got one right here, about right there, about right there. Close enough. I mean, it does not have to be exact. What we're doing is we're being inspired by a celebrity's artist. We're not duplicating. This is about finding your inner artist and making it your own. So once again, take your paper and draw it. So now you should have 6 lines, right? All right, go ahead and pause this video so you can do yours. And now we'll get back. Now that you have your 6 squares, and they're not exactly perfect. I can tell that my two middle ones are slightly larger than the others. Not the end of the world. I'm just not going to stress that. It's going to make it look cool. Now it's time to bring in the oil pastels. Oil pastels are really cool. Oil pastels are made out of oil. Exactly. All right, so oil pastels, they draw like a crayon, but they're not made out of wax. The difference between crayons and oil pastels, crayons are made out of wax. Wax does not like wax. So if you take crayon and you color it down here, and then you take another crayon and put it on top, it's not going to cover very well. But if you take oil pastel and put more oil pastel and more, they can layer. So that's a really neat thing to think about. I'm going to show you an example. Okay, so I'm going to get a piece of paper. And let's start off with a very basic yellow sun. If I could pull it out of here. All right, yellow sun. Here's our yellow sun. Hi, sun. Mr. Sun, sun, Mr. Golden Sun, please shine down on me. Okay, so we have our yellow sun. Now I can take, I don't know. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can really see it. Wow, making it bouncy. Zoom in. Wow. Zoom out just a touch. All right, so now I can take a little bit of orange. And layer on top. And now I can take some red. Now you notice they're covering nicely. I can even go so far as say, let's do blue on top of the yellow. See, they layer. I love oil pastels. Like I said, they color like a crayon. Another thing that they do is they smear. So you can literally do a tie-dye look where you drag them out. You can use baby oil and blend it. So there's a lot of things that you can do with oil pastels. And if you stick with our lessons, I'll be teaching all those really cool things. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get back to our painting. There we go. And what I want to do is start off with grabbing whatever your favorite color oil pastel is, but in the darkest version. My favorite color is blue. So I'm going to take the darkest blue they have. I'm not going to use the bright blue. Even though it's pretty, I'm not going to use that one. This one's too light. I'm going to use a dark blue. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, there's an even darker blue. There is. So there. I'm going to use this dark blue. And I'm going to draw over my lines on my canvas. Okay. And now I am going to use my artistic knowledge in shapes. I'm going to pick my favorite. And I'm going to draw one in every one of these little rectangles. Now, if you want to stick with the basic design, you'll do circles. But let's say you love hearts and you want to do hearts. Well, you can do hearts. And if you love diamonds, you can do diamonds. You can do any shape you want to. But I do think that the circles are really good if you're just starting out. So if you don't quite know what you're doing, do what I do. That way you get good at it. And then if you want to do it a second time on another canvas, you can. So I'm going to do circles, and I'm going to start here, and I'm going to do a big circle almost to the edges. My circle's not perfect. I'm going to do another one that's not quite perfect, and another one. So I've done a bullseye. Now I didn't do those wrinkles on purpose. It's actually the wood underneath bumped my oil pastel, but I like the design that it made. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now we have our circles. Now I'm going to take my oil pastels and I'm going to do any color you want. Pick one, any one. I'm going to pick red. And I'm going to just lightly color in a little bit of my red. It's going to be red on every one of these. Red, but I don't want this one to touch this one with red. So I'm going to pick the next circle in. Red. What I'm doing is I'm helping myself figure this out. I'm organizing it. So whenever I paint it, it'll make more sense and I won't get all confused. So this one is the first circle. So I need to do the next circle, which would be this one. A little bit of red. And let's do a center here. Okay. That's all I'm going to do for red. I don't feel like doing any other red. So now I'm going to take orange. Pick any color you want. I'm going to color one of the outsides orange because I do like orange. Orange. Being careful not to touch my blue too much with this orange because it'll drag brown around. So I've done one outer. So let's do pick another circle to fill in. 1, 2, 3, 4. How about that? Randomly placed orange. Yellow. Anywhere you want. Yellow. Yellow. And yellow. Maybe a little yellow here. Green. Well, I like the bright green. I call this slime green. I love that color. So I'm going to do that one. If I'm going too fast, just watch as I do this and then pause it at the end so you can work on yours. Or you can follow along, whichever works best for you. And remember, you can rewind, you can fast forward, you can rewatch this several times. Just remember, you have up to 2 months to do this lesson. And you can do this lesson as many times as you want to. But 2 months. All right. And we're going to go ahead and do mermaid blue. I call this one mermaid blue because if I were going to be a mermaid, this would be the color I would want my tail. I know, crazy. But I do love this color. I do love mermaids. So, figure if I were able to pick up my own color, it would be this one. And finally, I'm going to do purple. Okay, so go ahead, pause the video right now, and finish coloring yours in, and we'll get back together in just a minute. It'll be the next video over. So I'll see you on the next round.